Hi everyone, it's Andrea from Too Cool T-Shirt Quilts. This is the quilt that began my odyssey into making ultra modern t-shirt quilts. This is called a flare style quilt. So up here in the corner we have the central sun part and all the flares move out from there. This one we did like a rainbow because, well, why not? We had plenty of t-shirts and we love Roy G. Biv. So this is how we started. And let me show you the back of this one. This one has a back that is so beautiful. See that? Each of the different flares, of course it's very dirty because I put it on the floor. Each of the different flares got a different color thread. Turned out so beautiful. So beautiful. This was another flare quilt we did, and we used red, white, blues, and pinks, and we alternated the colors. So in a flare quilt, you want to make sure that each flare has the same color from the corner all the way out. And so we were able to do pretty good getting very, very close in our colors. This quilt is also a flare quilt, and it was made with all white t-shirts. And so we followed the same pattern where we had all the small shirts down towards the center and we moved out towards larger shirts. We also have one, let me turn around here, that we made with all black t-shirts. Again, we had the corner flare, and all the shirts were small up towards the corner and they got bigger as we moved out. This one is all black, and we used the pink leading. That's that pink between each of the flares to distinguish the flares. If we hadn't used that leading, that pink, you wouldn't have ever known what was going on. So that worked really nice. From the flare quilt, we moved on to the spiral quilt. This is my second spiral quilt. The first one, well, it didn't make it out of production. It was so bad. It takes a while to learn how to do things, and these were definitely experimental quilts. And the key to a flare quilt is you have to have colors that move from one to the other, because otherwise you can't tell what the quilt is doing. It has to have some sort of way to tell that the shirts are actually moving out in a spiral. It's a very difficult quilt to make, but it turned out pretty cool. From the spiral quilt, I moved on to the bullseye quilt. This has concentric rings moving out from a center point. So we can see the rings, one's light, one's medium, and one's dark in the color. Calling this the color wheel, because again, we played with color when we made this. It's a pretty cool quilt. We really, really like that. But that wasn't the only bullseye quilt we've made. We also made a bullseye quilt for Michigan State t-shirts. And you can see there's the center block and there's concentric rings, green, white, green, going out from the center. What's different about this one is you can read all the designs from left to right. They're all upright, so you can read them from this one position. So, you know, if you came over here, obviously you couldn't read them. It's a great quilt. Unlike the Michigan State bullseye quilt, this quilt, all the graphics read towards the center of the quilt. So there's your center block, and that's right side up. But if you come over here, that one would be right side up. So they're all right side up depending on where you are in relationship to that center block. The nice thing about this quilt is there's no right side or upside down to it. It can go on any different direction. The next quilt I made was a broken glass quilt. I was out of t-shirts, and so all I had left were black and white t-shirts. So that's kind of what I decided to make it. There's lines that go from one side of the quilt to the other, and it leaves the shirts looking like they are a piece of broken glass when you look at it as a whole. But then I went and made one in color. I have our other broken glass quilt hanging here in the office. This is where Kim works. And that's the other broken glass. You can see the lines moving from one side of the quilt to the other. This quilt's a little bit smaller, and I used a little bit bigger blocks, and I liked how it turned out better. And this is a quilt that you could use with just about any grouping of t-shirts. You need to have some blocks that have very big designs and some blocks that have very little designs. So you'd have to have a good mix of your t-shirts. But this we can make with your t-shirts very easily. This was the first arch quilt I made. You can see that the arches move from one side of the quilt and you can follow them around to the other side. I made this one with my husband's t-shirts. I just went in his drawer and took them. But don't worry, he still has tons and tons of other shirts. And this particular block glows in the dark. This quilt turned out really lovely. This was my second arches quilt, and I think right now it's my favorite quilt. You really can see the arches move from one side of the quilt to the other, and your eye follows them as you look at the quilt, and you're not only seeing t-shirts, but then you see the motion that the arch creates. I love this quilt. I think it's so much fun. And I had a lot of fun really working hard to get my points to come together really well. And that's not bad at all. Oh, and that shirt glows in the dark too. Pretty cool quilt. I love it, but that wasn't it for me. For my arch quilt, I moved to a squiggle quilt. So this has squiggly lines moving from one side of the quilt to the other. And you can see that motion that those lines create. It also creates some very strange shaped blocks. But this is a really, really fun quilt. And again, I had to work really hard to get my corners to match. And that's not too bad at all. And this is something we could definitely do with your shirts. If you like the feel of the squiggle, and as I said, the feel of the arch quilt, those are definitely quilts we could make with your shirts. If you are looking for a quilt that is unlike any other quilt, we can help you here at Too Cool T-Shirt Quilts. Whether you want a traditional Too Cool quilt puzzle style, or if you'd like a arch style or one of our other styles of quilts, we can help you out.